Today's video is sponsored by Milano. So it's been a while since I've brought you guys along on a photo shoot here on the channel, and I've been wanting to get back to doing that here in 2024. Going to take this video as an opportunity to bring you guys along on a few different shoots that I had last week. So typically throughout the month and pretty much at all times of the year, I'm trying to refresh my portfolio in some sort of way and just, stay sharp. I think it's important as an artist to shoot as much as possible and make sure that your skills are nice and sharp so when an opportunity or a job comes around, you're ready to go and you're ready to shoot. So I had two different personal shoots planned that I wanted to bring you guys along for. The first of which was a cycling shoot out in Malibu, followed by a athleisure shoot in downtown Los Angeles. Both of these kinds of shoots I've wanted to add to my portfolio and sort of refine what I already have, take some images down, add some new ones. So I thought this was a perfect opportunity to shoot some new stuff and potentially be able to add this to my website. If you're any sort of photographer, I think it's really helpful to be able to do this often. For me personally, I think that this is a big factor in me getting the jobs that I want to get, is being able to prioritize personal shoots like this and be able to put stuff together pretty quickly without a massive crew, and make sure everything is nice and organized, even if it's just me and a subject. Now, throughout this video, I want to take you guys from the pre-production all the way to the actual shoot, and then at the end, I want to walk through a few of the images and share my thoughts on how the shoots went. First and foremost, though, pre-production is the most important part of really any shoot, and I think it's an undervalued part of the process. When I get hired to do a bigger scale job, really the only difference is the amount of pre-production involved, obviously the amount of people as well. But pre-production and organizing your thoughts and ideas, making sure everything looks cohesive, is a huge important part of every shoot at any scale. Even if it's just me, I like to be really organized and know what I'm getting from each shoot that I'm doing. Now we're going to be using the sponsor of today, which is Milano, to make all these different boards and organize all my thoughts and ideas. I've used Milano for various projects for many years now, so when they reached out to me, I thought it was a very natural fit for a video like this. Essentially, Milano is the all-in-one sort of project management software, but I think they definitely have a cool niche with photography and creative projects, which is what I'm going to be focusing on here in today's video. The thing that I enjoy most about Milano is being able to organize all my thoughts and ideas. It's not just a mood board app. It's not just a project management app. It's all of these things in one, which really makes it helpful to kind of display all of your ideas and organize all your thoughts into sort of a cohesive visual item that you're able to send off to different clients, talent. Everyone can look at it and be organized and ready for the shoot day. Now, Milano has quite a few templates built in for photographers and photography projects. I started out with both of these shoots using one of those templates and sort of dialed it into my own liking. Again, this was just me and a single subject for each shoot, so I didn't need it to be super complex or in-depth, but that doesn't mean that the pre-production and kind of the organization of my thoughts wasn't important. The first thing that I focused on with each shoot was the mood board. And a mood board is a really great visual reference, not only for me, but also for the talent as well when I'm doing a shoot. It kind of conveys the idea, the overall look and feel, the color palette, really a lot of the important things that are going to be coming out of the shoot and that are really important on the day of. You're able to organize those into a nice, easy, digestible page that everyone can look at and feel good about on the day of. I've been using mood boards for about as long as I can remember, and I think it's single-handedly one of the most important parts of really any successful photo shoot. To me, I like pulling images that are references. They're not images that I'm necessarily going to be copying, but I do like pulling images, that maybe I like a certain patch of light, or I like the way that the color looks. I like the pose. I like the way that the light bounces off of the subject. Stuff like that is really helpful for a mood board for the photographer. And then I think for the talent or the model, it's really helpful for them to see kind of what you're envisioning, and you can kind of bounce ideas off of each other and make sure it works for everyone. Now, when you're working with a client especially, mood boards are really great to share with them your sort of proof of concept. And you're able to kind of share what you're thinking, and in a visual way, they're able to digest all of that and make sure that it works for them as well. So the mood board, I think, is the perfect place to start for any sort of creative project. Milano also has a really great mobile app for viewing the mood board on the day of. I love being able to bring this along and share with the talent while I'm shooting. makes it a lot easier to be able to reference all these images that you're pulling. Another board that I like to add to my project usually is something to do with locations. And locations, I think, to me, are one of the most important components of really any shoot. I think it can honestly make or break your shoot. So putting a little bit of effort in ahead of time, making sure the locations are what you want. If you're shooting at a studio, if you're shooting at a house, are you renting something? Are you shooting outside? How is the light going to look at certain times of the day? This is all very important stuff that I think if you do the legwork beforehand, you're going to be a lot happier with the end results. In Milano, you're able to add Google Maps links, which is really helpful for someone like myself who just likes to drop pins and use those as starting points for my shoots. Especially when I'm shooting outside, it's really helpful to have the collection of pins that I'm going to be looking at and referencing. And then through the Milano app, you can just click on them and get directions. It's nice and easy and simple. For the first shoot of the week, I shot cycling in Malibu. And Malibu is a very location-dense area, meaning there's a lot of different places that you could potentially shoot at. You can be at the beach, you can be in the mountains, you can be in some of the canyons. I chose mainly in the canyons and in the mountains for this one. Malibu is kind of a mecca for cycling, so I felt like it was a perfect fit for the overall feel we were going for. I had some pins already dropped on my Google Maps from some previous shoots and just some, excursions out there that I was able to drop some pins. It made it really easy to not only find the locations that I wanted, but keep them organized. So once we finished one, we could head off to the next. We had about 4 hours to shoot in Malibu, and I wanted to make sure that we were utilizing all of the nice light that was available to us while also taking our time for the sun to go down. We started shooting about 4 p.m. for this one, and we had plenty of time to get what we needed and wait for the sun to dip. And as the sun starts going down in Malibu, you get these really great shadows to work with, which is what I was going for. Especially shooting my friend Andy cycling on the road, I wanted to make sure that there was some cool shadows to work with. And once he pulled over on the side of the road, we were able to get some really beautiful stuff as well. Working with sunlight in this way is one of my favorite ways to photograph, especially when I'm shooting people. Using the sun to your advantage and kind of working with it as it's moving is something that I really enjoy doing. Again, kind of knowing ahead of time where the sun is going to be, how it's going to look is really helpful for organizing the actual time that you need to show up in order to get the light that you want. But I was really, really happy with these images. We shot in a variety of different canyons, shooting on some cool mountain roads, with the ocean in the background and also some mountains as well. We got a really great variety of stuff, and I'm super happy with everything that we shot. The next shoot of the week, we were shooting some athleisure, and we had several different locations that we wanted to shoot at. One was a studio in downtown LA, and then another location was more of a nature-focused one in the hills above Los Angeles. Now, when it comes to picking a studio or any sort of rentable photo shoot space, I find Peerspace to be by far the best choice, especially here in LA. It's a lot of different options, and it's really just about your own personal taste. So once you find one of those, you can go ahead and book it, and then you're all set. But adding the actual link to the Milano board is really helpful for keeping everything organized and dialed. In addition to obviously some Google Maps pins as well, you're able to organize the entire shoot from start to finish, both indoor and outdoor, all in one single board. Simple things like to-do lists, attachments, adding casting info can also be really helpful to building out your Milano boards. I find that a less is more approach works really well for me, especially with shoots of this scope. It's just me and one talent for each of the shoots that I did. So I wanted to make sure that everything was organized, but also not adding any sort of fluff that I didn't need. I think this is where Milano really shines, is from any sort of project, big to small. You're able to scale your project boards and templates to any size that you need for any style of shoot. Whether it's a one-man band where you're doing everything yourself, or you have a producer, or you have a team, we have a stylist, makeup artist. Everyone can look at these boards and understand what their role is, and more importantly, what they need to do to make the shoot successful. And I think that's why this is such a helpful tool. If you guys are interested in checking out Milano for yourself, there'll be a link down in the description to sign up and check things out. Would highly recommend you go make a board and try this out for your next photo shoot. The mood board feature and project templates are extremely helpful for a photographer like myself. So when it comes to the gear for a shoot like this, I also approach this pretty simplistically. I want to make sure that I have what I need, but I don't want to bring, 6 different cameras for a shoot that I might not even use them on. I knew that these were going to be going most likely in my portfolio or on Instagram, so I wanted to make sure that I was using the GFX because that's what I use for most jobs, and I wanted it to look cohesive with my other bodies of work. I'm a big stickler when it comes to everything looking cohesive, so I picked the cameras based on that for the most part. I did bring along an X-T5 with an ultra wide lens. I didn't really end up shooting that as much as I thought I would. Mainly stuck with the GFX 100S and the 45-100, 32-64, and also the ProPhoto 810, which is an awesome little strobe flash. I'm thinking about making a video separately just about this strobe. It's so incredible, and for what it does and how small and compact it is, it's a really great piece of kit to add to your camera bag. I find it really helpful in scenarios where you need just a little bit of bounce, but nothing too crazy. It's a very powerful light if you need it to be, but it can also just very subtly fill in some shadows or bring up some highlights for you. and it works really great. I use this for restaurants, I use this for portraits, anything where I need a little bit of light, but I don't want to bring an entire strobe kit. This is perfect for that. So now getting to the actual shoots themselves. The first shoot was in Malibu. I was shooting some cycling, as I mentioned, and we had about 4 hours to shoot everything that we needed to. And this was plenty of time to actually get going and shoot all the different looks that we wanted. There were several different canyons that I wanted to shoot at, so I had all those predetermined and organized. I had a little bit of a route, and I had my bike rack on the back of my car. Essentially, we just drove around trying to find the places that we thought looked good, and we found a bunch of them. We started out at the northern end of Malibu, driving through some canyons, hitting some canyon roads, and shooting along the way, shooting with some different kinds of shadows. It worked really well, and I love shooting cycling. I'm a big cyclist myself, so it's really fun to be able to add some personal touches to stuff. And this shoot was no different. I really enjoyed getting to shoot at a variety of different locations. We ended things by shooting along a PCH. Looking through some of these images, I'll definitely be adding a few to my website. Very happy with how everything turned out and how cohesive the colors look. I think the variety of locations was the strong point of this shoot. And I'll kind of make note of this for future shoots, that this worked really well. I'm always trying to grow and learn and make my shoots as seamless and also as, successful and fruitful as possible. So whenever I have something or I do something that works well, I always try to implement that into shoots going forward. So the second shoot was a mixture of downtown Los Angeles and a nearby canyon. And I wanted this kind of dichotomy of like urban and nature. I think they work really well together, especially when you shoot it in a certain way. And I love how these photos turned out. The studio section was great. We shot with a pretty minimal backdrop, a few chairs, and a really nice, clean kind of pastel looking background. It worked really well, and we got a nice variety of stuff. There's definitely a few photos in here that I'll be adding to either my portfolio or just a fitness book in general. Looking to build that out a little bit more and have more photos of fitness in general. So I thought that these photos would be a great addition to that collection. If you're like me and you shoot a lot of different kinds of subject matter, I think it's really great to have different buckets for the different kinds of stuff you shoot on your website. You can have a main portfolio page and also a projects page, but I think the most important part is to have pages that are dedicated to the different kinds of stuff that you shoot. This could be lifestyle, this could be portrait, this could be fitness, this could be architecture, interiors, food. Whatever you really want to shoot, having the different buckets for the different kinds of stuff that you shoot is really helpful and will make your website stand out. After shooting downtown, we headed up to some nearby mountains and shot some really cool stuff. I think I like this stuff the most. The studio stuff was great, but I feel like this stuff feels the most me. It's important to know and to be comfortable shooting in a studio environment, but I tend to usually only do that as a part of maybe a larger job. I'm not usually shooting in a studio all day, and that's like the main focus. Personally, I really like to use natural light to my advantage and be able to mix the light into each different portrait that I take. And more importantly, I love how the nature shots pair well with the studio ones as well. When you look at both of these shoots, both the shoot in Malibu with Andy and the shoot downtown with Summer, I feel like both of these can be added to my body of work as a whole, which is exciting. That's usually the goal for me, is if I can fill some sort of hole or gap in my portfolio with my existing body of work. Hopefully you guys enjoyed this video. This was a really fun one to make. I want to be able to bring you guys along on more shoots going forward. To me, it's just a great way to share with you my process and also bring you a little bit more behind the scenes. Both of the shoots went really well. Big thanks to Summer and Andy for both coming out and shooting with me. And with all that being said, take care guys, and we'll see you in the next one.